So this is a video of the Oloko created the human race. Everybody is saying these days that human beings were created by aliens, that aliens genetically modified Neanderthals to create the human race. Now the problem with this is the whole thing is rather unscientific. It's rather unscientific. It's the sense of aliens coming to planet Earth wouldn't have evolved on planet Earth. They would have evolved on another planet. So coming to planet Earth would prove to be an existential risk for any aliens. Is that human beings evolved on land. We didn't evolve in water. So even human beings who have been on Earth, even monkeys that have been on Earth for centuries, decades, and millenniums, cannot survive in water. Sharks that have been on Earth for thousands of millennia cannot survive on land. You find out basically that animals can only survive in the habitats they evolved in. That is very hard. You have sharks cannot survive on land, fish cannot survive on land. The only thing that can survive on land are probably tortoise. Tortoise can duo. But you find out most beings or most animals cannot just move from one place to another because you don't have the gills, you don't have the lungs, you don't have the skin. So surviving from one area to another is very, very tough. You even have footballers who say, South American footballers who say living in Manchester was very tough because of the weather. It's always cold in Manchester. And these are human beings who live on Earth. They find it very hard to live in Manchester. And you know that if the climate, the higher you go on higher altitude, the air is thinner. It's harder to breathe in high altitude than in low altitude. So you find out basically wherever you are is where basically your survival skill set is. So an alien coming to planet Earth would need some kind of mask, will need some kind of tank to breathe similar air than they had. And there is no extent an alien could come to planet Earth as a fish, as a highly advanced type of fish needing to live in water. It's not necessarily they're going to cope on land. So those are the first problems you have. Then you have this thing about the human beings were genetically modified. Some people say our closest relatives, monkeys. Well, funny enough, we're not monkeys. Our chromosomes are different from monkeys. Like even the chromosomes of a donkey are not the chromosomes of a horse. So you can't look at a chimpanzee and say chimpanzees have more chromosomes or less chromosomes. Something has been removed. Nothing has been removed from man. Man is a totally different species, like the horse, who has their own set of chromosomes. So nothing has been removed from man because man is a totally different entirety. Man didn't come from anybody. Say, who talk like the person who says 1 plus 1 is 1 times 1 is 2. We start saying something has been removed from man. What has been removed from man was all species have different chromosomes. Some have so many, some have so little. That's what makes them unique and themselves. So you can't say human beings have been genetically modified, that the numbers have been increased or reduced. That's like saying horses have been genetically modified because horses are just like comparing a horse with a donkey. You can't make those comparisons because they are totally different entities, and because of these chromosomal levels, that's what makes them who they are. So then you have the third thing, that these aliens came from a highly advanced civilization, that they came to Earth, started looking for gold. They couldn't have gold. The idea came on them to get Neanderthals and genetically modify Neanderthals. But that doesn't make a lot of scientific sense psychologically because which species, the developed species, doesn't count the cost of a project before they start building. No species, nobody who can be claimed to be advanced starts a project without checking out what they have. You send your spies to see, do we have the tools? Do we have necessities? Isn't that how everybody does business? If you do a quotation, you sit down in your office and quote, oh, I need 20 brushes, I need this paint, I need that paint. Now, it's only when you get to the land, yes, there might be shortfalls, but the shortfalls do not mean you should start inventing something new. If you need to paint your house, you might need to buy more paint, but that's within the purview of what you already calculated. So to say these people came from a different planet and now they found out they couldn't do the work, and if they were so technologically advanced, they wouldn't be relying on manual labor. And a being that can travel from one dimension or from one planet to the other would have the skills to create, or would have created some earth gold searching machines. They won't be so reliant on labor. Like human beings, the era of human beings, like that's like a photocopying machine. We know photocopying machines do the job. That's like someone trying to write when they are photocopying machines. Like you wanted to write a project, you wanted to make it 20 copies, or 1,000 copies. You decide to write it by hand. That's basically impossible by today's standards, because photocopying machines do it better. The photocopy machine has been created. So how can a so-called sophisticated advanced civilization come to Earth with a advanced spaceship and you don't have advanced material to look for Earth, to look for gold? You're still digging for gold, manual labor. If you have those spaceships, you'd have created some spaceship. That's one of the flaws in the story. You come in an advanced spaceship and you now start digging for gold manually. You find out you don't have the tools. Okay, you're tired. Your people are tired. Let's go and show you. They're tired. They can't dig for gold. They decide to start creating human beings. That's still in the realm of organic development. You're not thinking of tools. So how can an advanced civilization be thinking of creating organisms when tools should have been your bread and butter? The first thing that you should have done when you came in here was get your tools right, start digging for your gold. If your gold cannot bring you anything, it's like the era of slavery is over. Once the industrialized age came in, slavery was not necessary because tools were being invented. Tools were being created. So you're saying these aliens, advanced aliens, now created human beings to search for that. That's very redundant. That's like us going back into slavery days to pick cotton and do things by hand. Man has moved from that, and we can never go back to that because our consciousnesses are into machines. It's like how our consciousnesses are into smartphones now. People rarely use desktops. Desktops are almost obsolete. Laptops are rarely used. There's a technological trend that guards every moment in human development or organic development. You move from one technological advancement to the next. You don't go back. So you have this thing of, okay, they now started creating human beings. You need to dig gold. You're now doing research. You have to into a new entity, because any alien that comes to planet Earth for a long time, it will need to understand who are these animals on Earth. What is a horse? What is a donkey? Who is the best to be used? You can't just come to Earth and choose the Neanderthal, because from looking from the outside, the Neanderthal might not be superior to the lion. It will take years and years and years to see who is the smartest of the lot. It's like an ant. They do researches which is the smartest ant, which is smart. Those things have taken like 100 years to do. You don't just come in and say, oh, Neanderthals are smarter. But on the outside, you can't tell who is the smartest, who is the king of the jungle. You have to be in the jungle for decades and for years to find out who is the smartest person. And meanwhile, your planet is being destroyed. You need gold to repair your planet. So you find out there's a lot of manual labor. The person who wrote that thing, it tends to be very manual. Isn't a tech person, or it's very manual. These aliens came in with a manual mindset. I'm not going to believe these aliens came in from another planet with a spaceship, and you're now to save your planet. You bring your best of your best. You bring, they're going to they're going to do carpentry work. You first go to the site, check what you need. You now bring your best tools, because you know your tools, and tools even before humans, because you know the tools are going to do the job. We've gone beyond the point of hammers, because the human hand cannot knock a nail into the wall. Hammers come before even apprentices. Is when the job is plenty, you now start to get more people. So it's technology above beings. But in the story, you hear this story of aliens coming to Earth, you're hearing beings above technology. And these are supposed to be technologically advanced beings. The whole story is technologically wrong, because aliens who have invested time, energy to build technology will no longer believe in manual labor, because they've invested time, emotion, mind, sweat on technology. They've seen technology is good and they're not going back. It's like smartphones are good, we are not going back. Photocopy machines are good, we are not going back. Writing with a biro is better than writing with an ink, writing with a feather. We're not going back to that. So you have the aliens who came with sophisticated equipment and left their sophisticated mindset, now started digging for gold, now went into biological whatever. Then how did they build their spaceships? If they can be thinking like that, why did they just build some kind of robot, merge some kind of beast and enter the beast's belly like Jonah? Since they love biology so much and tinkering with biology, but why didn't they just create some whale and enter the whale's belly and come to Earth? They didn't. You can find out the stories of Jonah. It was at a time when man was not even technologically advanced. That's why those stories are there. We're talking of hammers, we're talking of swords, because that was the era. But we've moved to guns, we've moved to tanks. So I find it very hard to believe people can actually believe these stories and they don't question these stories. They don't question the logic behind the story. They don't do psychological or psychoanalysis to wonder if this is how a being operates. We're not going to go to space tomorrow and drop and say, oh, we want to get manual labor with the aliens there. We're going to come with our own equipment. We'll come with our own equipment to do the job, because we believe we're advanced, and we probably believe those things on Mars are probably redundant because they haven't created anything. So we won't try and merge with them. We'll bring our own tools. That's how it works. That's how it works everywhere. And as I said before, man cannot survive in water. So saying an alien came from outer space and hit the ground running is impossible, because that alien is coming from a totally different environment. Like how fish cannot survive in water, like how fish cannot survive on land, and man cannot survive in water. The tortoise has been where it has been, a duopoly, for decades, centuries, millennia. The tortoise and tortoise has made that, or crocodiles, they've made that change. Look how old crocodiles are. Those are millions of years old. They've made the adjustment over millions of years. So you find out no matter how smart an organism is, an organism must always obey the laws of the land. If you switch off, if you sleep in a room where someone is throwing in gas or throwing in a generator smoke, you can die, because the laws have been broken. So it's impossible for an alien to come to Earth, hit the ground running. It's totally impossible, because that's not how it works.